I said that everybody is so worried and conscious about their image that they kind of, God forbid, if they do not really feel great about their own image, their confidence, first of all, is shattered. They cannot speak publicly. They do not know how to behave. The emotions or the expressions they give to other people while they're talking or conversing with them are very vague and weird, and anybody and everybody can understand that the person who is in conversation with them is a little underconfident, and it can be because of any reason. For example, I'm going to share an example. So just yesterday, I was doing this event for a multinational company, and what happened was that, unfortunately, the jean I was supposed to wear was a little old, and the jean I wanted to wear, or the way I visioned it, or the one I had in my drawer, wasn't the same one on my hanger, and it was too late for me to kind of go back home and then change it. So yeah, for a moment I thought, hey, you know what, that's not what I wanted to wear. And then I was like, hey, you know what, it's a jean. And no matter how worn off it is, it will definitely come and make me feel as if, I feel like a rock star. And that's how everybody needs to feel. So at times you really need to kind of consult with your brain in the first place that, hey, you know what, I can overcome that, whether I cannot overcome that. So image consultancy, ladies and gentlemen, is the latest thing all over the world. May it be politicians, may it be public speakers, may it be people like us who present TV shows, or anybody who actually has a lot of clientele, needs to go out, or probably generate more business. The presentation kind of says quite a lot. And I do have an example to share over here. For example, if you're in an exam, imagine if you know 10% of the answers and you know how to write your answer, that's 90% of it. And that's what makes 100% of it. And then you can obviously be successful in life. And it does really matter to a lot of people, because these days everybody kind of does think about what you're driving, what you're wearing, how nice do you smell, how well can you speak, how educated you are. So all of these manners, non-verbal communication, verbal communication, it all matters. And to kind of give you a small course, a crisp course on that, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by a master himself. He happens to be an image consultant. He's been working in the US with a lot of politicians over there, with a lot of public speakers as well. He's working all over Pakistan, may it be Islamabad, Lahore, Karachi, or anywhere. People kind of love him as well. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the one and only Mr. Hamid Saeed. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Walaikum salam. Thank you very much for a great introduction.
Thank you very much for joining us, and you truly deserve it, because you're one of those people who've actually pioneered image consultancy over here in Pakistan, and you have pushed it so hard that, alhamdulillah, you're all over the country and everybody wants to get 5 minutes of your time. So we're very lucky that you've taken our time and that you are here. How are you?
I'm great, and thank you for inviting me once again. Thank you very much.
We will always have you over here, because we really want our viewers to kind of look good and feel amazing about themselves as well, which is why first things first. Now, what I want to know is, and we have talked about how we really need to wear the formal dressing or casual dressing, and we will come down to that bit. But for anybody and everybody to understand what their image needs to be is something, I think, very important, pivotal, imperative at the same time.
Absolutely.
Because half of the time we really do not understand how we really need to come across to people. So let's talk about that. People from different walks of life, what kind of images do you think they need to carry of themselves within their own minds?
Well, it depends on a number of things.
Okay.
First of all, largely it depends on what do you do.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your position, what's your profession? Because if you don't know who you are and what you're representing, then it's very difficult to get to how you should look.
True.
So basically it starts from that, and then also having a knowledge of your body type and your coloration, your eye color, hair color, skin tone, what colors look good on you. I mean, obviously it's hugely important. And then you should obviously know who you are meeting on that day. What kind of image you should project, and what kind of image do you think that they need to see you in.
All right.
So these are all the, I would say, prerequisites before you even start looking at your wardrobe and see, what you're going to put on for that day.
Yeah.
Just like you said, like nonverbal communication is the key here. Brian Tracy says that as soon as you walk into a room, you have said everything about you in the first 1/10 of a second.
All right.
Now, how fast is 1/10 of a second?
True.
It just goes quickly like that. So what do you say, and what do you want to say? There are a few things that I want to run it by in nonverbal communication. First is, you said confidence, okay?
Yep.
I mean, that's the key. If you don't look confident, I mean, who's going to listen to you?
True.
I mean, who's going to do business with you? Who's going to do deal with you? And if you are at a job, interview is going to hire you.
Yep.
So confidence comes first, and confidence comes only with two things. One is from two things. One is that your grip on your knowledge and your expertise, your education, whatever that experience that you have. And the other is how you look.
True.
You said it very rightly so, that when you stand in front of the mirror, I mean, you could tell if you look good. And if you do look good, guess what happens?
You're going to have a great day.
Exactly. Confidence shoots through the roof.
True.
And then you can go there and conquer the world.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I would remind audience that you must look successful.
True.
If you don't look successful, people are going to treat you like you're an unsuccessful guy.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
we have all the mental images that we know what successful people are, with guys, girls, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then there's another interesting part, and that is that people look at you and they kind of like gauge it, and they say what socioeconomic level you belong to.
True.
I mean, although that we shouldn't do that, but we do.
It does happen.
It does happen,
Yeah.
right? So, like, okay, do we belong from, affluent segment of society, middle or lower middle or whatever?
Yeah.
But the point is not this, where do you belong from? The point is this, that do you look well groomed?
All right.
If you look well groomed, I mean, it's like a smooth sailing for you.
Exactly.
So, and then, just a couple of other things. Looking trustworthy and credible.
Yeah.
I mean, if a guy doesn't look trustworthy and credible, I mean, game is all over, my friends. Game is all over. Now, to how to look trustworthy and credible, here are two guys sitting here, white shirts.
Yeah, white shirt. I was about to say that because that's what you said last time. And it's great and it's brilliant as well. But where you said when you stand right in front of the mirror, if you think that you look good, your confidence level is obviously out of the roof as well. And there's one more saying, and that is that once you stand in front of the mirror, make sure that you wipe your face first, and and that's really important because
Right.
you really need to kind of look into that, whether have you put in that maximum effort, which will help you to have that image of yours as well. And I will share one of my experiences, and it's because of the fact that and I'm a cars guy. I love horses. I love dogs. And I play polo, and so I'm always out there and doing my adventurous things and whatnot. So imagine, you will always have a second car, shukr alhamdulillah, at your place. Was supposed to go and pick up kids and do all of those other chores as well. Right. So just for a few days, I thought, hey, that's enough of driving a big car. I feel a little more convenient because while you're driving towards work, you cannot rush and you cannot do all of those things on your expensive cars.
Yes. Yeah.
So I was driving that car of mine, and I actually went to the same petrol pump I used to go to, gas station, and the guy all of a sudden, he started to look from the window, and he was like, "Hey, sir, you know what? I didn't really recognize you today." And I was like, "What happened?" It was like, "You're not driving your usual car." And I was like, "That's the kind of impact people do have about what you're driving, what you're wearing, and that's true. You really need to come across trustworthy." But now, sir, let's come down to.
Well, I must say something, add something to it.
Sure.
When you're in a meeting, they don't know what car that you drove.
True,
over there, they're just looking at you.
True.
So
True,
there you go.
and you never know if they're going to come and kind of say goodbye to you, so they might even get a chance to see that.
Okay.
So you should always be careful about
And
it.
also make sure car is clean from inside and outside too.
Yeah. I mean, if it's a boy's car, obviously it'll be clean. Right. I mean, if it's a girl's room, it might not be, or it might be. So it always varies. And even girls these days, alhamdulillah, they're fantastic drivers. But now, sir, coming down to what are the most common mistakes men make, first of all, while we have to dress up for a meeting? And, how do you think that we really need to dress up? Because one more thing, today I made it sure on purpose that I'm going to wear colored socks because, plain socks are for boring men. That's what they say.
Okay.
So I don't know what you have to say in the connotation of whether if we are to get ready for a meeting, should we be wearing colored socks or...
Well, let's start with that. Yeah. I mean, you look great from the top all the way when you go to the sock section segment, rather. There's only one guy in the world that he looks really, really good in designer socks, the colored socks, and his name is Justin. The PM of Canada. Trudeau. And the reason he looks good in that is because he knows how to carry it. I mean, not that you don't know how to carry it. I mean, the guy, if he goes to the temple, he becomes Hindu. If he goes to a synagogue, he becomes Jewish guy. If he comes to a mosque, and he becomes a Muslim. So he has a lot of adaptability there. And but general rule of thumb is this: why do you want to communicate through your socks?
True.
I mean, people say, "Oh, it's an icebreaker." But I say, why it's not you as an icebreaker? Your value proposition, whatever that you want to talk about. So I would say that, I would not draw the attention there,
All right.
I would keep the attention here
Here.
because look at you and I were talking. We don't talk like this,
True.
And it's all this frame, and that's what we've got to make it strong.
Yep.
And we've got to keep the eyes way up there so that people don't get distracted.
Yeah.
So I would say that, a plain color, the socks. Well, the rule for socks is this, that either you match it with the shoes or you match it with your pants, the color.
All right.
If you want to do it with the color of your pants, then you go a little bit tad darker.
All right.
Otherwise, you just solidly match it with the shoe. And then while we're talking about that, then obviously the belt comes in. The belt should, I
Match
mean,
with the shoe.
ironically, I see
Yeah.
a lot of my country fellow men, they're wearing kind of like, brown shoes, black belt.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
it
a
doesn't
no-no.
rhyme. It doesn't
That's
rhyme.
a no-no.
So that's one thing. The other thing is, like, you're wearing double-breasted suit.
Yeah.
And nowadays, double-breasted suits are pretty popular out there. And the idea here is that the way you did it, double-breasted must be kept, like it's all buttoned.
Yeah.
As soon as you unbutton it, forget about it. It's like, it loses it. So anybody who's wearing double-breasted suit, unbuttoned, you could look at it and say, hey, probably this guy needs some lessons from.
And just a moment over here, because for everybody who's watching us out there, so obviously with double breast suits, what happens is that you actually have two buttons over here to kind of shut it and open it as well. But the rule says, or that's how people wear it, or the people who are within the fashion industry, that's how they tell you that you're really only supposed to button
only one.
the one hole, and that's it. And you're not supposed to do the other one as well.
Right.
Why?
That's true. Rules are rules. I mean, I mean, first of all, suit is a Western garment, so obviously Pakistan doesn't make rule for it. British and all the other people, Italians and all that. And also GQ magazine, that's the Bible of style,
True.
So that's how it travels, and there are benchmarks,
True.
If you go against the benchmark, people are going to say, hey, maybe you don't know what the benchmarks are.
True.
The other thing is this, that, the opposite of this is that, like I'm wearing a two-button coat, right? And, when you sit down, you can, be comfortable, open it up.
Yeah.
And you have seen so many guys, like, wearing.
Yeah, who button it up,
Yeah, and, they feel so uncomfortable, don't they? Right?
Yeah, they do.
And then, and the other thing is, what button to close when you're wearing a two button. Let's say, for example, you're standing up and you gotta, and then I would say top button, and then do not close the second button there.
True.
And there are reasons for it. When you close the second button, guess what happens? You always have some tummy, right? And then
At least in Pakistan you do.
Yeah, exactly. And they think like it covers it, Actually, it makes it more pronounced,
True.
And then all the wrinkles and all that. So that's the rule, that top button. And then common mistakes are, one of the biggest mistake is this, that you have seen this, I was in Lahore the other day, and in Emporium I was walking around and I saw this family, this guy, he walks like he's like a peacock, And I was looking at his dressing, was pretty good. And when he came in closer, I saw it, and the label was right here.
And it happens a lot of times. And people think that it's supposed to be here as well.
Yeah.
And they have no idea that it's actually by the brand, obviously, and it really needs to be taken off.
Yeah,
And people don't do that.
It's for the hanger appeal.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you look at it, it's like a very loose thread, So all you got to do is just, kind of like,
Get it off.
Get it off. And,
Yeah.
So this is a very, very big mistake. I would say very embarrassing mistake. I mean, can you imagine traveling, if you're like a guy way up there and you're traveling overseas, international conference, and you are, I mean, never,
That's a big
never
no-no.
get caught. That's a very big no-no.
Yeah.
And then the other, there are a couple of other things that I see them. Obviously the shirt collar is very important. I mean, sometimes you see this. I mean, the guys are sitting like this, and the collar is so tight. I mean, come on, I mean, you gotta make yourself feel comfortable. And if you wear sandals, I mean, never wear socks with it. I mean, this is another mistake that I see people making it. I mean,
I don't know whether obviously, but it's winters, and alhamdulillah, the best part is that, our Prime Minister, whenever he wears kheri as well, he makes sure to wear socks. It's winters.
I knew you
and even I do that, yeah.
I hope I don't get bombarded with negative calls.
No.
But anyway, I mean, if you were to Google it, the biggest mistake a man could make is, and you will see that picture, by the way.
But it's too cold, there's no other way out.
Well, you're not walking outside. I mean, if you're walking outside, it's a different story, but you're mostly, you're inside and all that. So anyway, That's the other, I would say, people should be aware of this. And the other big mistake I see is the length of the tie.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like, you see it all the time. The tie is too short and you look pretty goofy, right?
Yeah.
And tie is too long, again, it looks very awkward.
Yeah.
The right length is that it should just touch the center of the buckle of your belt.
True.
So that's
Exactly.
how it goes.
So that's the key rule as well. And there's one more thing. And so what happens is, obviously, we've talked about how people will always have the slightest of the tummy as well. That too, obviously, bulging out and making it more pronouncing as well. Now, but what happens is that, people certainly over here in Pakistan do not have the idea about their sizes.
Right.
And so what we do is that if we are to kind of go and get a dress shirt for ourselves, we will never get it stitched. We want to get it ready-made because it's readily available and then it's cheaper.
Right.
So what happens is that we do not know the size or how to wear it, and that's the most common problem. So people with the slightest tummy, they really do not know where to buckle their belt or the pant as well. So what's the right place to wear your pant? Okay, is it right next to the bone?
Okay. All right, so, there are a couple of rules there, So if you want to look like very old-fashioned guy and, you could probably wear it even over your belly button and, going all the way to your chest, I think that will look very silly and not current with the time. I would say that, first of all, the pant, if you have tummy, the pants are going to fall wherever it is. The water finds its own level, right? So don't try to try to tie up your belt over there, because the moment you're going to, come out of your house or whatever, it's going to slide down.
True.
So be aware of that. So, but if you have a great body and something like that, the tummy is not an issue, then I would say that it should be, nowadays, I would say that it would be a little bit below the bones there.
Okay.
And then you have a nice, I would say, nice look, nice current look. Because you must look contemporary, you must look modern, you must look current with times. You don't say like, oh, state of the art this, state of the art that, my company, my product, my country, and then you look like you're from dinosaur age. I don't think
from ancient times.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're not making fun of anybody. We're just trying to help you over here.
No, there is a serious message here. If the picture and the words don't match, guess what happens? There's a disconnect.
Yeah,
and when there's a disconnect, it leads to distrust. So if you look, forget about that, where you're going to go with that kind of image. So that's very, very important. I see a lot of people, what the biggest mistake they make is that they don't really think in the morning that who are they going to see.
Yeah, that's what I thought last night, that, Hamid Saab is going to be here. And I gave out some strict instructions as well. Hey, you know what? I really need to be on point tomorrow because an image consultant is coming to my show.
The fashion police is here.
Yeah,
right?
The fashion police is here.
By the way, this happens wherever I go. The guy pulls out his best outfit and he says, I did it for you. And I said, thank you very much. I say, you should be doing it every day.
Thank you very much. I like your sense of humor as well. Thank you very much, Hamid Saab, for being with us. It's lovely to be in conversation.